We're back, baby. Cross-examined with Mike Troiano, and as always, I'm very excited to introduce today's guest, my good personal friend, Las Vegas native, born and bred, Antonio Trillo. Now, if you know about anything about Vegas, it's built on reputations, transactions, and just getting things done. And if you don't have those kind of skill set, you're not going to be able to survive in this town. Not only has Antonio survived, but he's thrived. Antonio, as I just mentioned, is a Vegas born and bred native. He went to Durango High School, UNR grad up there north. He is the senior market manager of Heineken USA, and he also just started his own popcorn brand, Make It Pop Popcorn. Antonio, welcome to come on.
What's up, Mike? How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Obviously, I know you. A lot of people in the local Las Vegas alcohol sales market knows you, and the Trillo name in the entertainment industry out here. But for the people who don't know you that are watching our pod today, tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got to sitting here today with me.
I mean, I think you said everything already, so I'll just get up and leave. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, like you said, born here, Vegas, right? Been around the lights my whole life. A little stint out of the country when my dad took over our family business, which was in the distributing world, right, with liquor. It was called Antonio Trillo and Sons back in the day. So our big brand was Cuddy Sark, believe it or not. But yeah, college, high school, I think I really started enjoying everything Vegas probably junior year in high school when I got my first fake ID. That's when I really got to see what the city was all about.
What state?
Hawaii, man. It was before McLovin, so...
It was before McLovin. No, I
100%.
I remember the Hawaiian IDs. My first fake ID was New Jersey, which I actually lived in at one point, very, very briefly in my youth, and the guy who made them took a picture of me in the Bonanza High School bathroom.
Yes.
So
Pants on or off?
That is disclosed. It's not going to be disclosed. So you had your first fake ID.
Yeah, first fake ID. I remember going to Rum Jungle. I think they were the first nightclub to do bottle service. And $150 bottles. Now you go to a nightclub, it's like $900 is like the cheapest bottle. So you can see
the off-brand Tito's or whatever.
Yeah. No, I mean, like back in the day, $150, you're getting good shit, right? So but yeah, we'd go. Two ways we'd go in. Either we would roll in the last dinner reservation because they serve food there, like 11 o'clock, and then we'd eat really slow, and then we're going to the bathroom. After we pay, we'd go to the bathroom, sitting there for a little bit. And then it turned into a nightclub. We come out and we full on go hanging with the 23-year-olds when we're 17, right? So that was awesome. And then and the other way was, and nobody knows how to do this except me and my posse when we were young, we used to live by this saying, EMFT, every man for themselves. So we're like, how do we get in this club? There's thousands of people trying to get into Pure or Studio 54 or Light, you name it. So I would literally go find a group of like hot chicks that were standing in line. And I said, are you guys waiting in line? They're like, yeah. I was like, come with me, get out of line. And I grabbed the 5-6 girls, walked to the front to the host, and I say, hey, it's just me and these 6 girls. And they'd let us right in. So that's the secret. If you ever want to get in, you don't want to wait or pay cover, find a group of hot chicks, go to the front because they want to fill the club with girls. So I'll give you one of my secrets for the future, whether you're 21 and over or you have a really good fake ID.
I love it.
Yeah. So, no, but going back to, I guess me, like I said, born and raised, but the big thing is like the industry, right? Like I've been in this industry my whole life and from a young age. I talked about the Philippines, but like my dad, even when we came back here, he worked for DeLuca, which was a big liquor distributor. It was DeLuca and Coors of Las Vegas. So, always going to events, going to restaurants, him saying hi to all the managers. It's like, think about like those old school mobster days, where you're walking in and everyone's like, oh, hello. That was like my lifestyle, like everywhere we'd go, because you're supplying one of the most important things to every bar and restaurant, booze, right? Yeah. It creates great experiences, it makes things fun.
Social lubricant?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it gives you confidence when you don't have it.
But you always have confidence, and that's why we have you on.
Love that. Thank you. But yeah, so we did that. And just seeing him do that, like over the years, getting into the restaurant business in high school, like working in a Mexican restaurant, just getting in touch with the day-to-day operations. And it's funny how one thing led to another, but it was always in that hospitality industry, right? yeah, so after college, I was actually wanting to go to dental school, believe it or not. And thank goodness I didn't, because that would have been a terrible decision for me, as you know, my personality. Imagine trying to talk to someone when you have your fingers in their mouth. Like, it doesn't work that well.
I mean, depends what kind of depends what kind of videos you're into. Okay.
Yeah, but then I got into restaurants. I was running one of the best restaurants in town, Nora's Cuisine, on Flamingo Jones. It's been here for over 30 years. Did that for 5 years. Went to go open a new kind of like classic cocktail lounge space. Some proprietary issues that didn't work out, and I wanted to get myself into what my dad did, which was the distribution field, right? So I literally, my dad retired. I think 6 months later, I applied entry level, just get my foot in the door, because I knew my capabilities. Got in, sales associate, moved up very, very fast. At one point, I was overseeing all of the on-premise for the beer division. Did that for about 5 years, met a lot of people, all the food and beverage operators, bar, restaurant owners, tons of special events, from Tecate fights to NFR, rodeo, music festivals. Been involved with all of that stuff. And then opportunity came to join Heineken USA and run the state of Nevada. And I took a leap of faith, leaving something that I was comfortable with. And it's been awesome for me. Like, my lifestyle, the connections I've made, like, it's been just phenomenal. So that's kind of the rundown of me and the industry, I guess you could say. It's always been around.
So it sounds like a lot of hard work, but a lot of fun along the way, as is the Trillo way. And you didn't just wake up one day and be the top dog. You had to work your way up through the ranks, but it sounds like that was done fairly quickly.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people are just like, it's funny. My wife even says that. She says, oh, poor you. You have to go to Coachella Music Festival, or you have to go manage the F1 race, and you're around all these celebrities and parties. But like, no one looks at the stuff you do behind the scenes, right? And I'll use a perfect example, like Formula One. That goes, it's a 3.2 mile stretch down Las Vegas Boulevard. You got over 1,500 independent accounts. You have, 3 monster casino chains, right? MGM's, Caesars, you got the Venetian there, you got some independent hotels, and you're trying to manage your visibility with our partnership that we spent a ton of money, Global spent a ton of money securing, availability with our core brand. So like every outlet, like, do you have these brands available? And it's so cutthroat in this market because, like, dollars are being spent here and there's partnerships here. So you're trying to navigate that whole realm to give yourself that winning look and win share in market. And I mean, we've been able to nail that over this last, we've done it, 3 years now, but it's like the work before, like the process, it takes like 5-6 months of meeting with people, discussing, executing, and when I say executing, it's like whatever's discussed, it's bringing it to life, right? So if I'm going up to you and I say, Mr. Retailer, we're going to bring you a pop-up bar, provide you promotional girls, get this kind of POS, wrap your windows, and then calling the different, subsidiaries to get it done, right? Like, this agency is going to wrap the windows. This agency is going to provide the promo models. We're ordering this POS elements, bring it all together so it can be executed for that, 3-day window, right? Now times that by 1,500. Like, I mean, it's a lot of work. So, I mean, but it's fun. It's like, you get what you put into it.
So let's talk a little bit more about Formula One, because that is fairly new to Vegas. We're in year 3-ish or something like that.
Just finished year 3, yeah.
Yeah, just finished year 3. Not without controversy, not unlike anything that's new in this town, with the construction, the deconstruction, if you will, some local businesses, etc. A different type of, I guess, consumer base vibe, if you will. That's an international sport. It's known as a higher end. Most of their, and I'm sure you guys have a lot of research to back this up because you're putting a ton of money into it as a corporation. But I guess your customer base, their income, if you will, is probably on the higher end compared to maybe some of the other brands. What has that been like? How would you explain that to people that are Formula One fans? Like, what it's like on the ground floor as far as Vegas's transition into that international commodity, and how has that affected like liquor sales in the industry?
Yeah, so it goes a couple different ways. Like, year 1, it was unexpected, right? Like, people didn't know what to do, right? Like, the casinos, they thought they were going to get like all these Fortune 500 executives and they were going to buy the whole hotel out, and they were doing room blocks for 4 or 5 days, and prices were through the roof. And occupancy was low because it was so overpriced, right?
Yeah.
And then last minute they dropped prices. So that part was kind of like a mess. Then the construction of the course, like it was the first time doing it. So there was a lot of road closures. Those independent accounts that are on the strip, like they were in tough times, right? Like we're not getting bodies here. We don't have that traffic flow, people walking because roads are blocked. So it was a nightmare. The good thing was like Formula One really like took that in consideration, talked to these accounts, like built these relationships up and figured out ways to try to help these guys. But like it's funny because everyone will always place blame on someone else. But also there were some accounts that were like, oh no, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna wait for someone to buy out instead of like taking the guaranteed dollars. Got greedy and wanted like full buyouts for big bucks, right? But when it didn't come, because they didn't do normal business, they ended up not having anything to show for when the actual race. So that was year one.
So are you talking, just to make sure that I understand and the viewers, are you talking about like certain businesses, locations, basically holding out saying like, hey, I'm going to have some rich fat cat Formula One fan or company come in and just completely buy us out. And that turned out to be the wrong strategy instead of kind of like maybe individual packages or family or smaller group packages in order to put butts in the seats, drinks in their hands, things like that.
100%. That's exactly it. Because like in both, like we'll talk F1 and we'll talk the accounts, right? So accounts wanted buyouts. Like people were asking me 1.5 million. Hey, buy us out 1.5 million for 3 days. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, you think people are just buying that? And they had some like people offer like, oh, $100,000 here, $50,000 there. And they're like, oh no, we want the big juggernauts. They waited. And then it was too late. And then they're like, all you can drink for $50, So
sign me up. Where are we going?
So imagine like nobody knew how to manage the process. Okay. And even Formula One, year one, it was like you could only get 3-day tickets or 3-day tickets for Formula One. And it was $3,500, $4,000 a ticket. Well, what about, fans that don't have a ton of disposable income? So how do you fix it to create that energy, excitement, grow the fan base in America? Because it's huge in Asia and in Europe, but it's still growing here. So year two, they broke it up. You can buy single day. They changed some of the pricing structures depending on where on the racetrack. So like I said, it's evolving. They're getting better and better every year. But yeah, I mean, I saw everything. Ugly. I saw some people really benefit. I've seen other people like die out. Casinos liked it because they did have some really big gamblers, right? So their gaming numbers were through the roof, but hotel occupancy was down, restaurant dollars were down, which ends up hurting us because we're a depletion brand, right? Like the more bottles we can sell, Heineken, Dos Equis, Tecate, like the more revenue we generate for our company, the more market share we get, right? So when we're not packed, that hurts us. So the casinos have gotten really good at pricing the hotel rooms fair and doing all that stuff. So we're in a good spot, and we signed a 2-year extension to show that it's worth our investment and time. And I know the Las Vegas Convention Authority loves it too. That's why they allowed that extension for Formula One, because it drives a lot of bodies into Vegas,
Hopefully,
in a quiet time.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully as it continues to benefit the economy as a whole. Because I also saw some horror stories of smaller businesses that were around that area, not just like these major corporations and casinos with the construction saying like they couldn't even get foot traffic. And if you're just a mom and pop liquor store, on the back side of the strip or the east side of the strip or whatever it may be, and it's completely blocked off. Like you said, depletion business, right? Yeah. It hurts you guys. It hurts
some of these smaller things, right?
Absolutely. One thing you mentioned that I really wasn't planning on getting into, but I just saw something the other day that I think you posted, and then now it's coming out more. You mentioned the brand Dos Equis. The most interesting man in the world is back.
He's back, baby.
Tell us about that, because who doesn't like that gentleman?
Dude, I know he was the guy that everyone wanted to strive to be, right? He always had like hot girls around him, like cool events, like. What do you say?
Wait, sounds like you.
Yeah. All his teeth are wisdom teeth, I mean, the man of a million sayings. So
has it been a decade? Because I think that's what they said in the commercial. Okay.
So 10 years ago, so imagine I was working at a distributor. 10 years ago, they had the most interesting man fly out to Mars. Like, he's going to Mars. And the reason why they did that is they wanted to get away from the most interesting man because he was the brand, and we wanted the brand to be the beer, right? So, like, you hear about all the like competitor brands, right? Like Modelo, Fighting Spirit, but people know it's that. Well, everyone knew the most interesting man, and then it was like the Dos Equis was a subsidiary. They didn't like that. So at some point, he went away. we got a replacement. It didn't generate with consumers, with customers.
Yeah, I don't even know who it was, but everybody knew him. Okay.
So that didn't work. They changed 2-3 different things. Nothing worked. And then they're like, look, we need this guy back. It's okay to have him be the face of the brand because that's when business with that brand was growing at 20% instead of leveling off, right? Or
and
going
I
down.
don't know if you know this or not, or if you do, if you're even allowed to share it, but when you tell me from a brand perspective that like he was the brand over the beer, and I can understand that from a consumer aspect, because I think generally when you're putting out advertising, that's what you want, right? You want your beer to be sold, you want your product to be sold, and you want some kind of correlation, remember? And it seems like his fame was kind of outgrowing that. Was he a free agent? Was like, hey, I'm going to go be Bud Light's most interesting man in the world? Because it feels like although he was maybe a little bit bigger than the brand, and that was the initial concern, to me, I see a marriage. Like you think of him, you think of the beer, and vice versa. Do you know any of that and that inside information? If that was like an issue?
Yeah. Well, when he left or when we split ways, parted ways, I think he picked up like a tequila company, and it just did not work for him. So like you said, like the beer. The most interesting man, that relationship, they were married, right? So I'm excited. They got back together. They got divorced, realized they were better together, and now they're like hooking up again.
And the kids are okay.
The kids are, a little slow, but good, right?
I'm looking forward. I'm sure you guys are going to be pumping out more content. We're going to be getting more commercials with him because the first one was pretty good. He had kind of like had amnesia or something and was remembering his old life.
Helicopter, his Crocs fell off. It became interesting again. Yeah, so we had that on the national championship game. We're going to have it again on the NFC championship game for NFL. And then we got 12 months of above the line media. So commercials, like you're going to see a lot of it. Like in market, we're blanketing the whole entire like grocery stores, convenience stores, on-premise accounts. You're going to see him everywhere. So big investment on our part to let everyone know he's back, and let's see what it does to the brand. We're excited.
Get your Dos Equis now, right?
Yeah, stay thirsty, my friends.
So, speaking of thirsty, you and I both born and raised here in Vegas. Both love this town. Got my UNLV Runner Rebels today. I was going to tell you to bring your UNR shirt, so we had our competitors.
I mean, I like both teams, but, which is weird, but
you do. But I think we've grown up, right? There used to be in college these big rivalries, and it's still there. But as we're older gentlemen, we can respect the respective universities, if you will. But speaking and focusing mainly on Vegas, being born and raised here, you being in that industry, I worked in the casino industry, through late high school, college, till I went to law school, etc. Family in the gaming industry. We've got a lot of like institutional knowledge. The big theme lately is, Vegas was built on value, experience, good time, treating the customers well, and it's no longer like a local secret anymore, but it's turned into a national thing where you're spending $16, $18 for a Bud Light, a Heineken, a Coors Light, like a standard ale, whether, quality that depends on what you like and what you don't like. Some people like IPAs with a bunch of hops. Some people just want their standard, Dos Equis, whatever it may be. But either way, I think most people, and I know you're in the sales, so maybe you don't agree with me and you want to push back, but like $18 for a beer on the strip, is kind of crazy. And then you got $10, $12 bottles of water. Now I understand, and I didn't understand this really growing up until I got to be closer to people like you and live that experience. I understand there's a big difference. Like if you go to the Wynn or the Bellagio, right, you're expecting high-end quality, kind of just the whole shebang from beginning to end. And if they were selling water bottles for 50 cents, you would not get that high-end quality. You would get a different crowd. Let's be honest. So I can understand in some places, Formula One, whatever, when you're trying to sell exclusivity, that you're going to have higher prices to kind of flesh out what kind of crowd control that you want to handle. But it's no longer a local secret, like I was saying earlier. It's been national stories have been coming out that it seems that the major corporations that were controlled, by only just a tiny few, essentially the entire strip, have taken advantage of that. Now I believe the MGM came out saying that they are aware of that maybe there were some missteps. What's your opinion on where we started as a value city, how we've grown into more of a, what is it, a private equity firm, major corporations, if you will, and where do we go next? Because I don't personally think it's sustainable. We all like to make money. We all like profit margins. We're in business to sell. But if people don't come to Vegas feeling that they can get some value out of things, then we're not going to get visitors. And until things change with data centers or AI, hospitality and gaming, liquor industry is our number one go-getter to get people in this hot ass desert.
Yeah, no, again, money's the root of all evil, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you do a lot of defense cases, so I'm sure you've had a story or two of how money was a culprit of someone doing something terrible, right?
Alcohol, drugs, money, mental health. I get it.
So like Vegas was all about the experience of and the mystere of feeling like a VIP back in the day, right? You go in, you pull up, valet, doesn't matter what car. Hello, they open the door for you. They hand you a ticket. You walk in. You go to the table. The cocktail waitress is coming by, handing you free drinks. You spend X amount of dollars. They'll comp you food at the buffet or get you a hotel night. Like, so it's like the shows, all that stuff. They wanted you to feel like you were the most important person in the world, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what the Mysterio of Vegas was. That's why people loved coming here. And then what happened was, like I said, greed and all that other stuff. But they just started realizing, like, hey, we have a captive audience. Like, these people have to order stuff that's here. It doesn't help when you have union prices go up. The cost of hourly employees, cost of food, everything goes up. So you have to subsidize that somehow, right? Mm-hmm. And you can only do it. You can only increase room rates so much. You can only increase food so much, and then alcohol is another one. So I get where their casinos are coming from. Like, they want to make wages competitive. They want to make sure all their employees have a good way of life. But it definitely hurt the tourism, which is the lifeline for the city. That's why there's no, state income tax, right? The casinos pay for it all, right? So we don't realize those things, but I get it. Like, I know what a cost of a beer costs, right? Anywhere from 95 cents to $1.05. Does $18 make sense? No. Like, I found a receipt at my house in one of my file cabinets. It was for Bellagio, and it showed import beer $6.75, domestic beer $5.75, and this was, I don't know, 2005 or six. So in the last 20 years,
why do you have a 20-year-old receipt?
I don't know, it was like in my old school file cabinet.
Okay,
I just was cleaning it out, and I was like, look at this. Okay. I think I have a picture. I'll share it with you. But yeah, I literally was like, this is insane that it's cost this much, and the cost per beer maybe went up 5 cents per unit, right? So I'm like, they're just trying to figure it out. And then the other part is all these, you have shareholders now, right? They got to make money. So you're not increasing that bottom line. You're screwed. So, and then people lose their jobs and all that. So I get it. Do I agree? No. I'm like, is there a place, like you said, the win, charge a little bit more, weed out some of the people. I like it when prices are competitive because, again, my business is all depletion based, right? Like, how many units can we get burned through? That's reorders. So when they slow stuff down, it hurts our business, and our business correlates with the casino. Because instead of selling 4 beers at $5 and making $20, they're selling 1. But now that experience goes away for that customer. They don't come back 3, 4, 5 times a year. They come back once or once every other year. So in the long term, it's like a short term resolve is increasing price. But the long-term effect is brutal. And we saw that, right? Tourism down 10, 15% this last year. Right. Like my on-premise business was down 15% because of the tourism piece and the overcharging of our items. So I don't know. It's something that, do you ever go back down to the normal price? They will never do that. Like, they'll have to try to figure out other ways around it. Sometimes maybe they'll do at a small happy hour for a little extended period of time, but that's the thing. Once you go up, it's hard to go back down.
$18, $20 beers are here to stay.
Yeah, I don't see it changing. They say, but...
Are those conversations that happen with you as the supplier, with your customer, the local casinos? Like, is that kind of a in-depth business relationship where data and opinions and information is shared? Or do you just kind of have to bite your tongue because they're the customer?
No. By the way, my whole mentality in this is like, this is a relationship-based business. It's like a marriage. Mm-hmm. I give a little, you give a little, like, you take, I take, like, we got to work together, right? So when you're like, the first customer that says, like, you do whatever I say, that's the one I don't do business with, or I don't overlay, support, however it may be, whether it's activations, special events, stuff like that. I'll say, no, I'll use my dollars somewhere else. So that's one thing I've never allowed any customer to do. Are there people like that? Absolutely. It's just those are the ones you don't want to do business with because it's not worth it. But yeah, I mean, all in all, like besides the casinos, you take that out over to the independent world too. It's like these guys are struggling and they want to sell more. So like if they can figure out and when I was saying independent accounts for off premise, like sometimes they'll use our brands and not really make good margins on it because they use that as their loss leader to get people into the doors, right? Mm-hmm. So like you'll see a hot price. Let's say it's $9.99, 12 packs of Heineken at Smith's. They'll go in there. All the groceries are the same price. They're hoping that you buy. They're getting.
Yeah, you want some steaks with your.
Yeah, you're using our stuff,
alcohol and all the other stuff,
which I'm okay with because we're getting good depletions. But they're using that to get people in the door. They help their overall business. So the people that are smart and know how to use these levers, it's not like you run that all the time. You pulse it in here and there, but it creates traffic, and that's what these guys want. They want to be here for the long haul, right?
So for viewers out there that may not have that inside baseball information or familiar with that term, can you explain on a more basic level what a loss leader is and how that's incorporated in your business and your customers?
Yeah, loss leader for retailers is like they're not making money on the sale. So, you know, let's say they're buying something that costs them $10 and they're selling it for $10 or $11, and let's say they want to run their margins at 30%. They want to make a little bit of dollars. They won't make that. They'll sell it at cost because they want to give value to the customer to come in and buy at their location. And then when they check out, a lot of times they'll make what they need to off other items, right? Like the normal markups, and they all vary depending on the item.
As their go-to guy, I'm assuming it's more so on the smaller scale, or your smaller clients compared to the big time like casinos. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong, correct me, but is that something that you also offer guidance on when you're talking about like order size, pricing, things of that nature? Like how in depth does it get with your customers?
Yeah, a lot of their stuff is it's price driven, right? So like we offer like quantity discount sometimes because it costs less to move a full pallet than to break it down and ship 7 or 8 cases, right? Mm-hmm. So we share that with the customer. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's talking about, hey, these are your margins depending on your quantity sizes, right? This is what you can retail it at. You know, you break it down sometimes all the way, like this is how much you're going to be making per unit. You know, you talk about the media components, the activation elements that we have. So there's all these different things you can bring to that retailer to say, this is why you should be driving our brands in your business. But, you know, like we go pretty in detail. We use data. We used to talk about what's rate of sale in your area by zip code, what your demographic is, what that demographic likes to drink. Like, it's crazy how much information you have nowadays.
A multi-billion-dollar corporation, it makes sense. When you say you tell them what they can sell it for retail, when you use that word "can," do you mean specifically like there's limits, or
no? It's more suggestive.
Suggestive, okay.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, every company works out different margins. The big stores might work 10, 15. Small mom and pop might 25, 30%. You know, so you literally break it down and say, this is your cost. You sell this. This is how much money per unit you're selling, and this is what your percent margin is going to be. So you break that business math down, and then they're like, okay, this makes sense. Or man, I need to make more money on that. And you're like, okay, well, you can make more money per sold, but your velocity is going to go down. Or someone might go to that competing liquor store because they're selling at a better price. So there's a lot of like decisions these people have to make. My job is to give them information and tell them what I would do based off of what's happening around them, right? So.
Well, that's good. It's not just a handoff. It's not just like you're strictly in a salesman position. Here you go, enjoy your new widget or your new thing. You're saying, hey, if you want to continue our relationship, which is good for you and them, you're giving them business guidance, and that's smart, right? Like, hey, you might want to make an extra 3%, 5%, 8%, but do you know you have 6 other liquor stores within a 5-mile radius, and they're selling it for 15%? Like, you're going to get iced out. Eventually, the customers are going to figure that out. Like I remember, not even alcohol related, I got my daughter a Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever for Christmas.
Bala.
Right? Yeah. And she likes playing the Mario Kart, so we like to bond over that once in a while. And I was in Costco to get some Costco things, and I'm like, oh great, I was gonna go up the street to Best Buy anyways. And it was literally, I don't know if it was $50 or $100. It was enough where I'm like, it's worth the 2-minute drive. I was going there anyways, or actually no, I was like, no, I'll just knock it out. Sorry, it was another $50-$100 at the Costco, which is crazy because Costco's known for like the cheapest prices, great customer service, great you could have a microwave or a vacuum 8 years old and return it. Like they got a crazy policy and they're very successful. And so I went to the cashier place and I knew like they were going to ask because I just said, hey, Best Buy, it's like $100 cheaper, $50 cheaper. You guys price match that? And she's like, looks at it, I was like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, I don't know, it almost made me feel bad. I'm like, that's the last time I asked for a price match. I'll go up there. But if, obviously Costco doesn't care about losing my $50, but smaller mom and pop like liquor stores or whatever, if you educate them and saying like you might make a couple bucks in the beginning, but eventually your customer base in that zip code, that area code that probably only goes to those 1 or 2 liquor stores as their routine on the way to work, on the way to home, and I don't know, maybe not on the way to work if you're drinking before work.
Heineken 0.0 you can.
Yeah, there you go. Right, I'm sure your boss would love that. Those commercials. I love that. You mentioned something interesting that I never thought of when it came to this whole outpricing like certain clientele, whatever, tourism drops, and those are a lot of different kind of factors as well. But the unions, and specifically the culinary union, right, that they have a big stranglehold over the Las Vegas Strip, and that's something that I guess that was in a blind spot of mine. I never thought of as they
pay those guys.
They get paid. They get paid a lot, and they collectively bargain and they threaten to strike. And I'm not an expert in the area, but if you're born in Vegas, you've heard of the culinary union, and you know what these strikes are and what they can be capable of doing. So that could be part and parcel of it too. It's not just the greedy corporations, but they're dealing with the competitive interest of they need employees to show up that feel valued and are getting the fair wage.
Everyone wants to blame casinos. Oh, you're costing so much. Well, what is their overhead cost? What is all this labor cost? Keep the sheets clean. Like you break that down, you're like, you can't believe how much money it costs. Like just getting your sheets washed and linen changed and having those people, like it's insane. What
should be like Cali? You stayed at a hotel in Cali recently. Like they don't even wash your shit.
You're like, oh, what's that? Oh, that's a bug.
Every 4 days. I'm like, I'm here for 2. I can't get a clean towel or something like that.
Yeah.
Last question on that overall topic. Do you see or aware of anybody in the industry, the liquor, the casino industry, et cetera, that are actually like talking about this, that are trying? Because you said earlier that you think, once price goes up, it's pretty hard to go down, which I agree. But are there any of these industries or casinos particularly that are like trying to brainstorm to bring those prices back down? Or is that once that lever's pulled, it's over?
No, it's like they can, right? Like, does it make sense for them? Like, they have to be really, really struggling, like really, really bad to be that aggressive. What I've seen is a lot, like some of these accounts, what they'll do is they'll find like one outlet to do something like, hey, like perfect example, Circus, right? Been around forever.
Yes.
They have that Slots of Fun bar. I think they do like $2 beers out of that thing. Like Stage Door.
I'll see you there in an hour.
Yeah, right. Stage Door, right across from the Link, behind Cromwell. They do $2 beers, like, but they have slot machine. Like, see, their mentality with Stage Door is to drive the gaming, because gaming in all these taverns is what pays the bill. Like, they'll give beer away for free. Like $2, you're covering their costs, and they're making 90 cents, right? They don't care about that. Like, they want you in there. They want you putting money in the slot machines. Like, and that's what all the bars in Vegas and convenience stores, like, that's why we're talking about, like, sometimes they drop money, like they'll sell at a loss leader, because if they come in and they put $5 in the machine, that's more than they would have spent if you would have charged full price on a 24-ounce can, right?
Hey, this is Mike Troiano with Cross Examine. If you're looking for criminal defense in the state of Nevada, I am your guy. Go to our website, listed down below, TroianoVegasLaw.com. Yeah, and I mean, that's something, at least from the bar industry, the local Vegas bar industry, which is just huge, and I'm not sure how much those dynamics have changed either. You could probably answer this a little bit better, but like food used to be the loss leader, right? You get an 8-ounce patty and fries, cook in the back and cook it half decent, you're slugging back beers, you're feeling like a king, you're in a good time, but they want you to pump the machines. Yeah. So you're going to lose on that, because you're always losing when you gamble.
There's a reason why there's 500 hotels and bars and whatever,
And then if you're gambling, then typically the booze is free, so there's a little bit dynamic. But even if you weren't a gambling customer, you went to a bar because you love their hamburgers or whatever it may be, you pay for the alcohol, they're going to make the profit on that, but they're going to lose on the food. Generally, maybe those those logistics have changed over the years with some of the smaller bars?
I think now, like, everyone has their mission statement, right? Some people are more food, some are more gaming, but all these bar and taverns, and the number one thing is to get their regulars to come in and put money in the machines, right? So like, from what I do, and I realize that, I know that's important. That pays for all your labor, that pretty much pays for everything, right? Mm-hmm. And then if you sell anything from a booze standpoint, it's just cherry on top of the ice cream sundae. But what I try to do from a programming standpoint is incorporate that into whatever features we're doing. So when I say that, it's like, all right, here's a perfect example. You go into an account, if you're playing and you hit a $200 winner, you can get a raffle to win a prize, a keychain, or maybe it's a bigger prize or whatever. Or if you buy a Dos Equis, you get an entry. So now I'm helping that account get people to keep putting money in because they want to hit as many $200 winners to get entries to win the prize. And they keep buying my beer because they want entries to win the prize. So I'm incorporating something that's extremely important to that retailer. And I'm using my vessel, my brand, to get depletions, and I'm putting it together. So that's one way in a really competitive market now, because what killed the bar scene is DirecTV, Hulu, all these sharing services, because back in the day, you want to watch a football game, and your team wasn't playing, you got to go to the bar to watch it, So now it's like you can just stay at home, you go pick up a 12-pack and just sit at home and watch it. So how do you get people to
the bathroom's a lot cleaner usually?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no throw up, there's no, you're like hearing noises in the stall, but
some random trying to sell you Coke or something. You're like, dude, I'm watching the game, man. Get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. But like, think about that. You're like, oh man, how do I get these people to stay in here and buy my stuff? So I try to build programs around that. And when we do that, retail, like, people have gotten away from doing that. I don't know why. Maybe because budgets are tighter and all that stuff. But I'm like, I see it, and that's probably why we have such a good like outreach in the market from a visibility, availability, and retailers like working with us, because we provide help to help them be successful, right? So, let's say if you care, they seem to care back. So.
Yeah, caring is sharing. Sharing is caring. One of those things. You mentioned something earlier that I wanted to get into, because I think this is really key context from just a sales and overall life purposes. You're talking about relationships. So Vegas, unlike many people think, is not necessarily transactional. It's more relational, meaning there's like relationships what builds the foundation. You've been in this industry, you're a natural personality, natural salesperson. Obviously you've explained to us how you get beyond just the sales part of it and be collaborative with your clients. But what is your philosophy to sales, to initiating and growing those relationships, and not just making it a transactional thing, which may work in the short term, but your goal is to have a long-term client base?
Yeah, for me, it's just don't overpromise and underdeliver. That's like rule 101. Like, you say you're gonna do all this stuff and you don't follow through, like, people aren't gonna want to work with you. So, like, never overpromise and underdeliver. So if somebody
calls me for a murder case, I shouldn't tell them guaranteed dismissed tomorrow.
Yeah.
That would be bad for business.
I mean, you better deliver. If that's
I better deliver, baby. Okay, I'll try.
I mean, that's for sure number one thing.
No false promises.
Yeah. And other thing I like to do is make it as easy as possible for that retailer to do stuff with your brand. So when I say that, it's like from an off-premise standpoint, right? You see beer displays. Like, they don't want to have to order the beer, get the beer, build it up, put the POS up. So it's like, all right, agree to run the program. They bring the product in. We have our merchandiser come, they build it up, they put the POS up, they make it look really nice and clean. The length of the program, they're refilling the display, so it's always looking good. Like, they're gonna be like, I want to do stuff with that guy, because people are lazy by nature. So the more you can take away from them and make them feel like they're successful, or make them make money, the more they're gonna do stuff with you. Whether it's in a grocery store or if it's in a bar, same thing. A bar, you're like, all right, we're gonna put Dos Equis on, we're gonna take off the Modelo handle, I'm gonna have the draft. The line cleaner come, he's going to clean the line. We're going to hook it up. I'll have the rep send you 2 kegs on Thursday. The following week, we're going to have posters, table tents, talking about the specials. And there's going to be a consumer giveaway that every time someone orders a beer or wins a $200 gaming machine thing, they'll have a chance to win. And at the end of the month, you guys give it away to that customer. you lay all that out and you do it when you say you're going to do it, they're like, man, that was a good program. I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, you did. I mean, you came through and you did all the stuff on the back end, and you were saying like people are lazy by nature. Yeah. To an extent, but I would think more if we're talking about like your clientele base, like business owners such as myself. I'm not in the liquor industry. Maybe we'll make a tequila one day or something, right? Yeah. You'll pitch me something. You'll get enough in me and I'll agree. But business owners such as myself, any industry, we're looking to make our lives easier, not necessarily from a lazy standpoint, but it's more so of like, what can you deliver? Because at the end of the day, we're all exchanging time for money.
Yeah.
And money for time. Yeah. Right? That's really what it all comes down to. So if you offer me a product and a service, in this instance it's liquor, and I have a bar, and whether it's failing, successful, whatever it may be, if you're like, hey, not only are you going to purchase the product from me, but this is going to be hands off, so you can worry about the other back end stuff, whether it's spending more time with your kids, training new employees so they can do that, and that owner is kind of buying that time or making that money time exchange, if you will, and he sees like, great, here's the check, I have the capital, I'll cut it, but I don't need to worry about, where's your delivery guy, how does the Dos Equis sign look, set all this stuff up, because hell, we were on the phone last weekend, I called you and you were setting up some massive play set for your kid and it took you all day. Think about it. After you do the first, the second one is quicker. The third one is quicker. The fourth one is quicker. And so I don't know if your setups, and maybe some of them are, but just let's talk about a local pub, or as sophisticated as that massive playground you put together. But if you get somebody who's done 50 of them, even if it's not brain surgery, the owner who's trying to handle all kinds of other different things doesn't have to be worried about that. And you get it set up not only the way that looks cleanest and works most effectively, it's also the way you want your brand facing forward.
100%. 100%.
I love it. I mean, let's end it right there, Austin. 100%. I'm perfect today. So, as you know, Antonio Trillo, cross-examine with Mike Troiano. We are going to, or
I go Botox last picture.
I am not anti anything to make myself look good. I used to have big Dumbo ears, and I had whatever that surgery is called to pin them back.
You did when?
I did. Probably before we started hanging out. I was about 19.
Okay.
So yeah, I have technically had, I guess not technically, had plastic surgery. They would stick out. Basically, the cartilage in one of them wasn't there, so you see that ridge.
Yeah.
It kind of was just like a scoop, like an ice cream scoop. So I got made fun of my whole life over it, built character, and eventually just had them pinned back so nobody notices. Botox, I won't do it, even though my wife probably wants me to, because every time I smile, I get all the lines. Yeah. But I saw somewhere somebody mentioned that it's like, if you're predisposed to cancer, and I have cancer in my family, I mean, most of us do, unfortunately. Somebody said this to me, not to me, but I saw it somewhere, where it was like, if you have predisposition to cancer or whatever it may be, and you put Botox in there, basically you're throwing gasoline on a fire. Oh, shit. And I don't know the full science behind it. I know people who do it. So no Botox. That's just me working out, eating healthy.
I love that
when I can.
Wow.
But so let's get into it.
Your wife's lucky.
Thank you. She is a lucky lady. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky to have her too. Look at you, man. You're a tough witness. I can't even get into my cross. You're already messing with me. But the rules of evidence are laxed here. So you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
So
plead the fifth.
There you go. He listened to me. Thank you. Because Antonio always give me a hand. Give me a hand. There you go. Because Antonio always knows.
Oh, this is my guy.
I'm the guy.
Come on.
I think every other phone call we have starts with, "How's my personal lawyer doing today?"
You're like, man, I'm everyone's personal lawyer, but how come all my friends aren't paying me like they should be?
You pay me with your friendship. So let's start off. I want to tell a brief story. You already know the story because I told it at your 40th birthday party when we roasted you. You don't. We did a roast. It was awesome. It was my first and only time being able to try stand-up comedy. Told the story about the first time that we met. And for my viewers that weren't at Antonio's 40th birthday party that he doesn't remember, basically I met him 2001. It was shortly after high school graduation, or at least the first time I remember meeting him. We were at some good friend's house, Frankie's Spot up in Cheyenne in 215, that old house, a lot of beer pong in that garage. And it was me, you, and I won't give his last name, but another individual named Chris that I went to high school with. Tall, played like water polo. I didn't even know that was a sport at my high school. Yeah. We're in there playing beer pong, and the go-to back in the day before Heineken paid you all those millions of dollars they pay you was Keystone Light, and that was like our religion, if you will.
Yeah, we were knocking back 30 packs like a night.
That's what the cube,
man,
baby.
Such a scumbag.
Oh, probably $10.99 for 30 Keystone Lights.
Disgusting.
And I just barely met you. I knew Chris from high school, and we were friendly, but we didn't hang out a bunch. It was kind of random that he was there, and for whatever reason, he started shit talking Keystone Light, and it was almost as like you made the brand, like you were like personally you were offended, and I had to like separate you guys. Do you remember that at all?
No, I'm a very emotional creature, so I could have got fired up. But no, give me a little more rundown. So then I got like fired up.
Yeah. I mean, did
I like push him or something? Or just get in his face?
I just remember being like, normally two dudes I barely know, I would just let fight out of entertainment when I'm in my 19 years old. Like I'll be honest, but I was just kind of like one moment of being like, hold on, like.
Yeah, why was he talking shit about the beer? Like,
and
he's drinking it too.
And he didn't pay for it. And that was the whole joke at the roast was that's when I knew that we were going to be friends, because I'm like, why is he talking shit about Keystone Light?
Yeah.
Core memory for me. Apparently you don't remember it. So if you don't remember it, there's really not much of a question, but I'm glad to bring it up again, because not often you get to remember the first time that you met like a really good friend. It was something over so trivial, so funny, and now you're an alcohol salesman, so it's in your blood. You defend alcohol brands regardless.
Yeah. No, I do. I definitely do, because like you said, it's the lifeline to America, creating happiness for everyone.
There you go.
Solving depression. It's the cure for all.
There, I'm gonna bring a health expert on next week. We'll see if it's the cure for all. But hey, we all enjoy it in moderation, right?
Yes.
And don't drink and drive.
Of course.
So let's talk about something that you do remember. Okay. Not the Keystone Light fight of 2001.
Yeah.
But what is the difference? Because you've been to both. You've been to Super Bowl.
Yes.
And you've been to Formula One races.
Yes.
I've got to imagine, as an outsider, I've been to some high-level athletic events in my life. I've been to an AFC Championship game. Haven't quite done the Super Bowl yet. But two massive events, depending on who you are, may or may not be on the bucket list. I'll tell you what, like I wouldn't turn down a free ticket to either one.
Yeah.
What is the difference with the vibe, the crowd? Because not only are you working and you're doing your job, and that can get confusing. I've partied with you working, and we're going to get into that later. He's got a secret sauce. And I've also partied with you when we're just being friends, but you experience all of it. What is the difference to you between the crowd, the vibe, just in general? Like, bring us into a Super Bowl crowd, an event, and Formula One, because they're massive on an international stage, both games, even though football is America's game.
Yeah.
What's that like for the outsider?
I've been lucky to see both of those from different viewpoints, vantage points, right? The high-end experience, right, where you're in the Paddock Club for Formula One, you're in, whatever, VIP area for Super Bowl, right? Like, and I've also seen it where, you're with the common, standing room only spots, just like the biggest difference is for me, the football fans, I feel like in the higher end spot, they're still like devout fans for the sport. And don't get me wrong, there's diehard, but like my experience is like F1 is more of a social gathering. Like it's who's there to be seen. You go, you walk the red carpet, everyone's talking, and then when the race starts, because they're moving so fast and you only see them for like less than a second till they drive by, you end up watching it on television back into the suite, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a little different experience. It's more of a, I'm here at this event, cool, you're socializing, the race is going on in the background. It's too hard to watch it. Like if you're a real fan, you're fighting a TV with the sound on and you're really following it. Super Bowl, like all the action's right there in front of you the whole time. So like if you're an avid fan, I like Super Bowl stuff or football games in general better than watching the Formula One. Don't get me wrong, the energy's good, there's excitement, the who's there, but it's like you're not really able to see what's happening in turn 3, 5, 8. You can't really tell. So that's, for me, that's the difference. Like, and then in the non-VIP stands, like in the regular grandstand, those are like fans that, like you're sitting in the cold, miserable conditions, like, and you're watching this race. So you must really love the sport. So they're hyper focused on watching it. But I don't, like, to me, I think the biggest thing is if you're a fan, like football game, whether it's national championship, college, Super Bowl, basketball games, because it's there right in front of you, I think is a better in-person experience.
Well, basketball is great because it's just such a smaller
and they're going back
area
and
of
forth
play.
right there.
Yeah.
I mean, like we go to Raiders games, you know. I see you there all the time, right? So
yeah, no, I mean it's you're right in front of me, so I give you a massage on every game. But it's interesting you say that because the way that I describe, because the main games I go to is hockey, the Vegas, the Golden Knights games, and then the Raiders games, and I love football. I love hockey. I love hockey too, and I still play a little beer league and have fun. But football, I know more and understand and appreciate more X and O's compared to hockey, where I just like to go out and play and get hit or hit somebody and maybe score a goal every blue moon. But what I tell people is, if you're like not a like nuanced fan of hockey, it's a lot harder on television. Yeah. But if you go to a game, a hockey game is so much better for that non-nuanced fan in person. Yeah. And I feel the opposite of football. I love going to the games. I love seeing you, socializing with our friend group, and just seeing other people. I don't know if I want to be seen, but it's got that more social aspect to it. And our seats are great, so I'm not complaining about our seats. But if you are fully invested in the game and you know the game, I want to see if the offensive lineman pulled out, the guards come in, things like that. It's a little bit better on TV for if you really are invested in the particular NFL game. So,
but with Formula One, what's cool, the one thing that they have done a good job is there is a lot of guest engagement things, right? So we have a 5-story tall tower that people can go up. You can walk to an area where you're getting into Formula One and it looks like you're driving. So there's things to do that you can walk around, almost like a music festival.
Who's got the better food?
Formula One for sure.
That's what I want to know.
Oh my God, unbelievable! They have first class. You're eating unbelievable steaks. Poppy Steak did a pop up in there. It blows your mind. You're like, this is insane.
I love it. You're like, all right, I left my other Rolex at home. I'm going with this one tonight. Business in industry and striving for success, it's not an overnight success, and there's not always things that work out the way that we want. And although you are and have been wildly successful and worked hard and earned everything, there's also been things that haven't panned out so much to exactly what you want. Can you tell us about what I remember, I won't call it being on the ground floor, but just being emotionally invested as a friend of yours, was your goal and your attempt to get that Raiders tailgate experience going on, and how that kind of went out? I think people that are out there that see you or think that everything just comes easy, but that wasn't an easy venture for you, and I'm curious what you'd be willing to share with us about that.
Yeah, we were trying to put together an unbelievable tailgate experience.
And it was.
Right? First class, we had TVs on. You could watch all the morning games because all the Raider games were at 1:00, right? So it's you'd go watch. We had different food truck vendors. We'd schedule those guys in. It was non-transactional. It was a thing where we had all suppliers. They could invite their guests, friends to come check out. So it was a kind of a cool thing that was tied together. And, year one, like I said, no real money was made in that thing at all, actually, and you were trying to get investors in to create this experience. But what ended up killing us was all of a sudden out of nowhere, and I think people was starting to see the success and the hype, and maybe it's because we weren't using brands that are associated with the Raiders. We had people sending notes oh, we're gonna have to shut this down, and I'm like, I don't understand why you'd have to shut this down. I'm like, there's no money being extended, handed out. People aren't paying for stuff. It's like a tailgate. So what's the difference with me getting a parking spot and inviting 20 of my closest friends and having this tailgate spot? But like I said, this was a supplier event thing that we put together, and the last thing I wanted was, anybody to be bringing guest professionals in the industry, and then all of a sudden, you have the police department come and shut it down because they say this is a non-sanctioned event and embarrass people. So, I think we had a little pressure from Allegiant Stadium and the Raiders because we were becoming the spot where people wanted to go. And, it didn't work out. And sometimes things don't work out, but you learn from it. And hopefully there's opportunity down the road where, we can get that support from those guys, those people,
Yeah, I mean, it is a shame. I know you were deeply disappointed, as was I, just as a friend and a supporter. I think literally I might have cut, or like I was like, hey, come pick up like the check. Like I was getting ready to do some advertising with you guys, because not only did I want to support my friend, but friendship aside, on the business side, you know how to throw a party. Like, that's never been a thing for Antonio, and you've always come through. So when I'm like, all right, I'm not just doing this as like a charity. I wouldn't do that with my business dollars, because those are important. Yeah. But I'm like, no, he's coming through. Like year one, it was like almost like kind of started off like a dirt lot, and then by a couple weeks in, especially year two, when my wife and I showed up year two, we've got 8 70-inch screen TVs, every game, turf, food trucks, professional bartenders. Like the last one I went to, I got one of those IVs, like one of those like hydration things. Like, it's gonna be a long day, and I'm sitting there, I'm having a tequila soda, I'm having this, and I'm like, and I was just so happy.
I made it. I made it in life.
Like, and you made it in life. I was so happy for you, and not only did I enjoy going, but it was a place where all the wives, because they're like, oh, I don't know, like I want to go, but and like, oh no, we're going to Antonio's tailgate, and I know my wife and most of our friends' wife, like they knew that we can go there to start the day. It was in, but hey, you learn, you make decisions, and then you build better, right?
Absolutely.
And better and bigger the next day. Let's talk about something I didn't know until very recently in our friendship is Antonio is very good at pretending he's having shots and drinking alcohol with you when he's not. And he definitely has a way of making you feel bad that you're not keeping up. Tell us about this strategy, because I feel like such a moron. I want to say not even a year ago I figured this out. I didn't figure it out. Somebody told me, excuse me, and I'm like, oh, that's why he's like seems so normal. I can't
believe you're gonna make me give up my secret.
I know, man. I got because just
here live on your podcast.
Yeah, just because
getting cross-examined by Mr. Mike Troiano over here.
Just it's just within the friend group. So
okay.
Tell us your secret sauce.
I mean, like me, I always like a good time. I like high energy. I like people having great experiences, right? So sometimes like that high energy and that great conversation, it masks like what's really going on. It's like a magic show, right? Yeah. So a couple of things that I'm also a professional, and like we talk, you don't want to drink and drive. You want to be responsible, stuff like that. We have families, there's other people that depend on us. So for me, a lot of times it's like, and I'm in all these events all the time, and you couldn't be healthy if you drink like the way people perceive you to be drinking, right? So
you always got to be on.
So it's either like I said, switch over to Heineken 0.0, or like a lot of things I do is like I'll order buckets of beer, and the table will be full, and I'll grab my beer, and we're all drinking, we're cheersing, and if people are cheersing, they're taking sips, and maybe my sips aren't as big, maybe I'm putting the bottle up to my lip, I'm not actually drinking. Maybe I'm seeing someone that's almost out on their beer. There's only a fourth of a bottle left. And I was like, here's another one for you, right? They're not looking at me. They're just, hey, Antonio took time to grab me another beer, right? So it's just like, it's genuine. I want people to have a good time. I'm trying to make sure they're experiencing it. And they just forget that I'm also there, and I'm not drinking at the pace they are. Or if we're cheersing and doing shots, I'll do one. But when they want to do the second, the third, and the fourth, I might cheers and just set it down, or tip the glass into the bucket and not drink the shot.
It's inside industry stuff for some of those people.
I still enjoy
to do it,
but I don't. Like I said, you know me, my personality, outgoing. I have fun. Like some people need a little booze to become lively and feel alive. Like I feel alive.
You don't need anything.
I don't.
You just wake
I'm high
up.
on life, baby.
You are high on life. But I remember having a conversation with our friend pretty recently, and it was like somebody told me Santa Claus wasn't real. I was just like, that son of a gun. I'm like, all these years, but we've had plenty of times where you were putting them back in a private setting, and you weren't driving, and you weren't, and you were being safe. But I think that's smart advice for anybody that's in any kind of sales, marketing, whether it's purely alcohol or just alcohol is part of it, that you don't have to partake, and you also don't have to make yourself completely stand out if you're not comfortable with that, which is like nobody's watching you. Most people are fully focused, on as themselves. I was for all these years, and I'm like, I'm throwing back shots with Antonio, and he's like, cheers. And you weren't even selling anything. You were just being a good friend and making me have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's exactly it. It's like people get lost in their own world, right? So they don't realize what's going on. And like I said, it's not like I was like purposely being like, hey, I'm gonna get this guy trash. It's more like, I want you to have the best experience because that brings joy to me.
Oh, to be clear, everything was done on our own volition. It's just the magician, right? I think, is it too late in your age to get a new nickname and call you Antonio the Magician? So last question before we call this a day here in lovely Las Vegas, Nevada. What is the biggest misconception or lie that people think about the alcohol industry from the outside?
Biggest misconception or lie? Are you talking from like an experiential standpoint, from a retailer standpoint?
Just anything. Like, I'm just some guy at the bar throwing him back who thinks he knows everything like every average guy at the bar does. And you're like, hey, I'm Antonio, I'm in liquor sales. Like, what's the biggest misconception? Like, is it that life is just easy and all you do is hop from Super Bowl to F1 and this and that, and there's no work behind it, that you have to be a huge booze hound in order to be successful? Like, what do you think is like the biggest like misconception when people know what you do and look at your success?
I mean, they probably think that all I do is like drink beers 24/7 a day.
You don't?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Right. That's
he
one.
Doesn't. He doesn't.
I know. That's one. Like, it's like Vegas. Right? I remember being like young, and they say, "Hey, where are you from?" I'm from Vegas. Like, what's your high school called? Circus High School. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Are you kidding me?
I want to get a T-shirt that says Circus High School.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's just like ignorance, right?
Right.
So that's one. They just think, and then to your point, like, oh, you have the best job in the world. Well, they don't know that. Hey, you have to deliver on these KPIs from a distribution standpoint. You have to deliver a volume goal. Like, like there's all these different things that you have to deliver because it's a sales job, and they're looking at that from year to year. Are you doing what you need to do to be in that job, right? So yes, do we try to make the hard and boring stuff look like it's non-existent? If I can make that look normal, then I'm doing a hell of a job, because that means I'm like a duck. My feet are going fast under the water, but I look calm on top. Then I know I'm doing my job right.
Well, you are doing your job, because one thing that I know about any major corporation, as much as you're a lovable and likable guy, and I love you and I like you, Heineken's not hiring you because they love you and like you.
That's true.
They're doing
There's
that
always
because you
produce.
You.
That's true. That's true.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for coming on, man.
Hey, thank you. Love you.
Love you.
Best of luck. Hey, cross-examined by Mr. Mike Troiano, the best attorney in Vegas. Love it.
Love it, man.